Jamie from the Wesofly Morning Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you all are safe and well. If you haven't done so, please be sure to visit wesoflymorningshow.com and check out all the good stuff that we have on there. If you have any requests for topics, by all means, send it to the contact page and request it, and we will get back to you as soon as possible, whether it be for the YouTube or if you would like to see it on Instagram in the daily dose of positivity. That would be awesome as well. So with that being said, I'm actually going to talk about something pretty serious, as we always like to get on this channel. And with this brand, we talk about mental health awareness based topics, and we are so adamant about healing the world in this way and taking away all of this sadness and this confusion and this frustration and anything negative. Taking away negativity is the overall goal for our brand, and with the help of you all, we do that each and every day, so thank you so much for all the love and support thus far from everyone. If you've been tuning into the podcast, you can also find that on Apple and Spotify and Google and so much more. I'll have that listed in the description down below, actually, if you want to check out the podcast. Also, I'll have the social media listed below as well, so please be sure to follow that too. But yes, so we're going to talk about anxiety, overcoming anxiety. So this is really challenging because, first of all, you have to know what anxiety is. You'd be surprised at how many people don't even know what anxiety really is. Like, I've heard that statement so many times and it throws me off every single time. I'm never ready for it. I don't understand it because I firsthand experience anxiety all of the time. I cannot count. I will run out of fingers to count on how many times I've had like an anxiety attack or just anxiety of any kind. Whether it be just the minor sense of it. There is such a thing as having chronic anxiety where you are diagnosed with it and you have to take medicine, which I understand that as well. Some people may experience just, I don't want to say regular, but just more of the minor sense of anxiety, maybe like when you're out and about and you kind of get the butterflies in your stomach when something bad happens or when something bad is about to happen. That's just natural. That's your natural instinct kicking in. Anxiety kind of just plays in on those things, sometimes. But for what I'm talking about, it's like when you're literally just lying around or you're trying to tend to something important, maybe like a business meeting, maybe like your job somehow, or maybe you're having conversations with friends, maybe you're at a party, just anything. Maybe you're working out. It can happen at any moment while you're driving. Even in your sleep, sometimes you can have really bad dreams. Your anxiety can affect your dreams. It can do all kinds of things. So first off, what's important is to identify the symptoms of anxiety. So now this may vary, so I'll try to cover as much as I can, because there's so many different variations of anxiety out there. There's so many different ways a person can experience anxiety. So it's kind of hard to encompass that in one video, but I will do my best to do so. For instance, like I said, when you're just lounging around and you're trying to get a task done, and maybe you just start to feel like shortness of breath. Maybe you start to feel really dizzy. You start to feel really lightheaded. Sometimes it makes your stomach hurt. Sometimes you just feel like you can't breathe. You feel like you're underwater. Or you feel like some sense of panic, like something is about to happen, like some sense of urgency is just surging through your body and you can't explain it. You don't know where it came from. A lot of the times you're really not going to know why anxiety is coming to you. It's not something that's just going to, warn you. It's not going to say, hey, I'm coming to visit today. No, it's going to be that unwanted guest that's going to come at any moment. Doesn't matter if you're doing something that's really important. Anxiety doesn't tend to care about those things. Anxiety just comes whenever it pleases, and that's why we have to learn how to overcome it and challenge it head on, go straight forward and don't have that fear, because that's what anxiety's mission is, to instill fear in us so that you don't go after that job that you always wanted, so you don't develop self-love, so that you don't have a personal development journey, so that you don't live a purposeful life, so that you don't do the things that you need to do. That's the mission of anxiety, to get in your way. It's just like a bully. That's how I look at it. I look at negativity overall as a bully. Negativity doesn't mean well to any of us. Negativity doesn't care about how we feel. If anything, negativity wants us to feel as bad as possible. Its mission is to just ruin our days consistently. So that's what anxiety helps to do. Anxiety just gets in the way of a lot of situations. It gets in the way of a lot of blessings if we allow it to. I have to use those keywords there. If we allow it to, though. It can only go as far as you feed into it. If you don't feed into it as much, it has no power over you. Now, that is easier said than done, because let's say, let's say maybe you're in class and it's your turn to speak. This used to happen to me all the time. I used to get so flustered. My anxiety would get so high that when it would be my turn to speak, like let's say it's your first day of school and you're doing an introduction. This happens all the time. I used to dread this every time. And they will call on you and they will say, hey, introduce yourself to the class. What year are you? If you're in high school or in college, whatever, they want to know what year, how long you've been there, what's your major if you have one, or just something about you. What do you like, your hobbies, things like that. Where are you originally from if you're in college, stuff like that. Just the basics, right? Now, you would think you would know your name. You would think that you know where you come from. You would think that you know what you love to do, your hobbies, things about you. You would think you know that. But it's like the anxiety makes you forget the basic things. Like, it can get that bad to where you forget who you are. And it's like you get tongue-tied and you get stage fright, I think everyone has had their fair share of stage fright at some point in their life. I've had it numerous of times. I get so choked up, I stutter. I start to sweat. A lot of people get really clammy palms. They start to stutter, like I said. They have some sort of speech impediment all of a sudden that you didn't even know you had. Some kind of way you have one now, and you just feel like you're dreading it, like you feel very afraid, like something is wrong. It's like your stomach might start to cramp. You might start feeling very nauseous. You might start feeling like you're about to pass out sometimes. You have to really relax, because I've had anxiety attacks so bad to where I feel like I'm literally going to black out. And it gets to the point where it's like, am I going to have to go to the hospital or what? You know what I mean? And it's like, how do you treat anxiety, though? They try to prescribe medication for it, and I'm all for whatever helps. Every individual is different. So if you are an individual that does need medication, prescription of some sort, that is fine, but try to really use that properly. Read the instructions very carefully. Talk to your doctor. Have a one-on-one discussion with your doctor, and get very close with your doctor, and let your doctor know what you've been experiencing, your history, and be very as detailed as you can. Because their job is to prescribe you the right kind of medication that can help you. You don't want to just get in there and tell them just anything. You really want to be very specific so that they can help you to the best of their ability. That's their job. So they can only do that based upon what you share with them, from my experience, So that's great. And they make mistakes too. You might have to go through a series of medications before you find one that works for you and your symptoms, and works without any type of bad symptoms attached to them. Like, you might find some solutions through the meds, and then it causes other symptoms to develop, So a lot of the time, I also find that when you have really bad anxiety, you start to lose your appetite. You get really, really tired. You feel really exhausted for no reason at all. You could have just woken up and you feel like you don't have any time to sleep. Like, you just don't have any hours of sleep in your body. Like, you're just running on E, And it's like sometimes you just feel like you're on autopilot. Like, you're just going through the motion. It can cause extreme insomnia. So that's something that you need to be aware of. A lot of these things can cause you to have sleepless nights. A lot of these symptoms that we experience from anxiety include us being restless, include us not being able to eat properly, include us not being able to think clearly, because it's so easy to get off track when you have anxiety. Because that's the thing. It's like, imagine having like hallucinations. Sometimes it feels that bad. It's like you feel and you think the most unrealistic things. And I'm only saying it because I've experienced it firsthand. A lot of these things don't even happen. And if they do, they never happen to the degree that our minds conceptualize them to happen. You know what I mean? They never take place the way that we envision them. Or I'm not going to say we, I'm going to say the way our anxiety paints the picture. It never pans out that way. So that's where you take your power back. As long as you understand that a lot of these things are not going to happen. A lot of these things are not realistic. A lot of these things are mind over matter. A lot of these things stem from things you've been told, something you watched on social media, something you heard from a friend, or something you read in an article. And you might be a hypochondriac like me and think that that's going to happen to you, or that's happening to you. So be careful, because a lot of us are just very sensitive beings. And when you're very sensitive, you are prone to have anxiety. It's just like it goes hand in hand for some reason, because anxiety just feeds on emotion. Without the need to feel anxious, the need to feel sad, the need to feel angry or frustrated or confused, anxiety has nothing to go off of. It can only play on negative emotions. So that's why when you're grateful, when you're positive, when you're happy, when you're upbeat, you're in a bubbly state of mind, you'll notice that anxiety is nowhere to be found. Because what is it gonna feed off of? It's like a big monster that feeds off of negative emotions. The monster can't grow. The monster can't be big and bad if it doesn't have anything to feed itself with. It's like that big bad wolf. That, yeah, you might be afraid when you see that it's a wolf, but then once you figure out that you have options, that wolf or that monster doesn't seem so scary anymore, because it's like, hey, you can't defeat me. If I have ways to defeat you, what makes you think you can overpower me and overwhelm me? It doesn't work that way, So our minds are way stronger than anxiety likes to lead us on to believe. Anxiety likes to convince you that you're so weak and you don't have any strengths and you don't have any talents. You're not gifted and no one cares about you. Anxiety makes you think all kinds of things that really aren't true. So it's up to you to really sit down, have a strong level of discernment, to really talk to yourself, get to know yourself, so that when these situations do arise, because it's bound to happen time and time again, because it's like a test. It keeps testing us every day. It's very consistent. That's why I say it's challenging. But when you realize how much of a powerful tool your mind is, and how you can control that and reroute that, anxiety can't get in between that. It's harder for anxiety to wiggle its way into your day. But as long as you're low, you're feeling low vibrations, you're feeling sad, you're feeling depressed, you're feeling stressed out, you're feeling doubtful in any way, just the smallest amount of doubt can cause you to have an anxiety attack. So that's why you have to be careful, because that doubt can grow into stress, and then that stress can go into depression over time. So that's why I'm saying it takes nothing to cause an anxiety attack, honestly. And we don't want to have anxiety attacks. It's bad enough to have anxiety, but when you have an anxiety attack, that is a whole different beast that you do not want to continue to experience. Sometimes it can happen very consistently, sometimes more than once a day, and the fact that it happens once, throughout the week is bad enough, and it's very exhausting. So the fact that it can happen multiple times a day, or multiple times a week, or multiple times a month, that's one time too many. So we really need to monitor our thoughts, watch the kind of conversations we're having. I can't stress that enough, because you got to understand, when you're talking to people around you, friends, family, strangers, whoever, they're living life through their personal lens. They're living life through their own perspective. They're not living life the way you see it. Everybody has their own individual lens that they're looking through. I may look at life with rose colored glasses on all the time. I may look at life with sunshine and rainbows. You may not be able to tell me anything different. I may see the goodness in everyone in every situation. And then there's example B, someone who sees everything going wrong. Everything is disastrous. There's total chaos everywhere. Nothing ever goes right. Everything is just in total dismay every day, all day. And then there's that other person, example C, who is somewhere in the middle. They have gray areas. They're able to balance. When the bad things happen, they still find the good things that are in there somewhere. They create the good where there's bad. They learn how to play defense and offense when need be. They know how to do that dance and that spin and turn with life, and they don't have any problems doing so. So it's up to you to figure out what kind of individual you are. And just because, let's say you are example B, where you're a natural pessimist, that's what they're called, a pessimist. What if that's you? What if you're not that optimist like example A, where you have the rose colored glasses on? Or what if you're not the ideal optimist like example C, where although bad things do happen and you're very realistic about them, you still find balance, you still find the way through, you still believe in self-love, and you still encourage yourself and embrace the journey as it goes on? What if you're just example B? That's okay. You can still become example C, which is the ideal. I would recommend that one more so than example A, because although you might start off being very optimistic, if you don't understand that there are negative moments that are going to happen, if you don't understand negativity and you overlook it and you're oblivious to it, that can be very dangerous. If anything, that can be more dangerous than the pessimist sometimes, because it's like you're living in a delusional world. You're not really seeing things for what they are, because we need a little bit of negativity just to keep us on our toes. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but I'm saying it keeps us balanced. So we have to acknowledge when we're hurt. We have to acknowledge when we're going through things. We have to acknowledge when something is uncomfortable. We have to acknowledge that. We're not supposed to overlook it. We're not supposed to act like it doesn't exist. We're not supposed to just slide it to the side and act like it never happened, or sweep it under the rug, as they say. That's not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to acknowledge it, go through your pain, go through your emotions, acknowledge your body, acknowledge your spirit, acknowledge your mind. What is your mind trying to tell you? What is God trying to tell you through this situation, if you do have a spiritual belief or spiritual practices? I highly recommend that. But that's why I said example C does all of those things. The person in example C can see the good, even though there are a lot of bad things that may happen. And they don't look at it as bad necessarily. They just look at it as, hey, it comes with the territory. It may hurt, but I know that there's going to be growth throughout this pain. I know that there's going to be a lot of blessings that are going to be bestowed upon me later on. I just have to fend my way through, fight my way through to get to the other side, so that I can really enjoy what is waiting for me. Because you got to understand that these things are waiting right on the other side. It just takes time. Great things can happen when you really care. Great things can happen when you really try your best. And great things happen when you understand that you're doing the best you can with what you have. Always keep that in mind. Don't ever disregard yourself. Don't ever disregard your feelings. Don't put yourself last. Put yourself first. Prioritize how you feel. Don't look at emotions as weak. Don't listen to the media when they tell you that, you have to hold your emotions in and you have to act like you're okay when you're not. You're not supposed to do that. Nobody can grow like that. Nobody can really achieve anything that way. You're going to explode one day. That's like a time bomb. I always say it's like a ticking time bomb waiting to explode at any moment, and you'll never know. It's like walking on landmines, and you have to figure out which step is going to be the last one until you explode. It doesn't make sense. I used to do it all the time. That's the only reason why I can say that. I used to literally hold everything in. I try not to do it as much these days. Still working on it. It's very difficult, but I tend to say how I feel more so these days, and I'm a bit more upfront than I used to be. We have to take time with ourselves. We have to be diligent. None of us are perfect. We're not going to grow like this overnight. It does take time. And even if it's something that you've been developing for years, that is okay. At least you're developing. Most people aren't doing that. Most people are just sweeping it under the rug and being example A or being example B and acting like everything is just sunshine and rainbows, or that everything is just bad all day. So Let's be like that example C, and let's find our balance, let's find our place, let's create a place. No, forget finding. Let's create a place. Let's create our own movement. Let's create our own steps in life, and don't allow society to tell you who to be. You don't have to put a timeline on your life. You don't have to put a timestamp on everything you do. You don't have to have a certain amount of money by a certain age bracket. You don't have to have a certain career path by a certain age bracket. You don't have to be in the ideal relationship. You create your own ideal. You create your own idealisms. It's up to you to figure out, okay, what are your dreams? What matters to you? Not what matters to the world, but what matters to you. How can you contribute through living your own individual purpose? How can you really make a difference in the world by just simply being you? That's all it is. It's just you being you and experiencing life. That really does make a difference by you being you, because we need people to be different. We need all of these rare breeds out here. We need that. It's refreshing. We aren't supposed to be the same. So don't listen to that anxiety when it tells you, oh, you should have been done that by now, or it's too late. Don't even bother now. It's far too late now. It's never too late. Sometimes it's better to get it done at a later stage in your life than to not get it done at all. And honestly, that's when a lot of things happen. A lot of things happen when you least expect it, and it's usually saved for a later date. I very rarely witness or see or feel like anything happens like when you want it to. It usually happens when you don't expect it, or when you're not looking for it, or when you don't try too hard, or you just do what you're supposed to do. And that means buckle down sometimes, make those hard decisions, have self-discipline, focus on your goals, focus on your mission, stick to it. Don't worry about the naysayers, don't worry about the non-believers, because most of the time those are your biggest fans. Those are the people that always say, I knew you could do it, when you finally become successful, and then they were a hater the whole time. So it's like they secretly adore you. You know what I mean? You're doing everything right. If you have a bunch of haters, shout out to the haters, because they keep you, they keep you up. In a weird way, they do, because they keep your name growing. And little do they know, they're helping you to grow. They think that they're trying to put you down. It's not. If anything, a lot of people adore you because they talk about you so much. They're like, I wonder why they keep talking about this person in such a bad way. I'm going to get to know this person for myself. That's how it usually works out. It's like you end up trying to badmouth somebody, and then the people that you're badmouthing that person to, they end up, getting to know the person that you're talking about. And then it's over with, and they find out, wow, this person's great. It's just all of this negative energy. It makes us do and say things that we know we shouldn't. And that's okay. We all have made that mistake at some point, where we misjudged the person, or we misjudged the situation, and we just were on the outside looking in, and we didn't understand. I mean, I think we're all guilty of that at some point, or sometimes it happens, because it's all about the journey of self-love. So if you feel less than, you're gonna always try to knock another person down. You're gonna always try to count your blessings or your downfalls, comparing to someone else. You know what I mean? Comparing yourself to someone else. That's just what you're gonna find yourself doing a lot. And honestly, that will always give you anxiety. If you're always looking at what other people are doing, or monitoring their successes versus yours, of course, anxiety is written all over those things. Because, like I said, anxiety feeds off of what? Self-doubt. Anxiety feeds off of what? Sadness. Anxiety feeds off of what? Negativity. That's all it takes. Once it's like it can sniff it out. It has like a sensor. As soon as you're negative, anxiety's like, oh, here I am. You called me, So it's like, no, I didn't call you, anxiety. I called positivity. You can't come in. You're not invited. We're having a positivity spread party. No negative emotions and no negativity allowed whatsoever. And that's the kind of party you got to have every day. Make every day a party. Live every day like your last, But don't focus on when it's going to be the last day. We don't know. We'll never know. But that's okay. That doesn't mean we stop living. That doesn't mean we stop trying or we stop caring. That just means that we try harder. We do more. We experience more. We acknowledge ourselves. We love ourselves through and through, no matter what. because that's what life is all about. Life is not about getting it right every time. Life is about understanding. It's about learning. It's about adapting. It's about evolving overall, your overall evolution. That's what life is truly about. Life is a journey of self-discovery. It's not supposed to be a contest. We're not supposed to compete against each other. We're supposed to help each other through our own individual experiences. That's all it is. We're supposed to coexist. And the minute we figure that out, we can take away all of this anxiety. No wonder we're all a nervous wreck. We're looking at each other left and right, wondering what each other are doing. Or if that's not your case, you're too hard on yourself. You're beating yourself up. You're tearing yourself down. You're taking away from your journey. You're putting yourself down when you should be building yourself up. The way you talk to yourself matters a lot. The kind of conversations you have internally as well as externally matter a lot. So if you're putting yourself down, or if you're allowing other people to do it when you talk to them, it's the same thing. It affects the brain the same way. So you're going to be anxious. You're going to be a nervous wreck. You're going to feel like nothing's working out. You're going to feel down. You're going to feel sluggish. You're going to feel like you can't sleep at night. Something is keeping you up. There's an urgency. Because you're constantly beating yourself down. You're constantly feeling overwhelmed. You're stressed. You're just burnt out. And we have to combat that. We have to be more diligent with ourselves. We have to love ourselves harder. We have to love ourselves more. Love the things that you dislike. Learn to love what you dislike about yourself. Learn to not dislike it anymore. Why do you dislike it? Is it because somebody told you should? Or is it because someone made you feel that way? Is it some sort of trigger that you've had? Triggers, whatever. There's something about it. It's that way for a reason. It's not that way for no reason. I can tell you that. So you just got to figure out what that reason is. Where did that come from? Why did you start to view yourself that way? When did you start to view yourself that way? And why don't you treat yourself with more love and respect? Why don't you value yourself? Why don't you value how you feel? Why don't you take time with yourself? Why don't you, understand that a lot of these things will require a lot of time and a lot of energy, and nothing is going to happen easily, nothing good at least. So let's not shoot for temporary releases. Let's shoot for longevity, and let's shoot for things that are going to give us exactly what we want, our dreams, our desires, our purpose. Let's step into our purpose each and every day. And let's make it count. Make every day count. And just realize that anxiety is just a game. It doesn't really exist. As long as we feed into it, it does. It's there to keep us on our toes. Yes, it's there to play mind games with us, but does it really hold any weight in our lives? No. It's only as heavy as you make it out to be. And honestly, it's most of the time it's like a tiny little pebble, and we make it into this big mountain with the way we think and the way we feel. So minimize that mountain little by little, and then it's a little pebble, and then you can just toss it aside and be happy and have a smile on your face and laugh it off and get through these situations and realize how silly they truly are. Because I cannot count how many times I've done that. I've looked at a situation, I'm like, wow, that was all in my head. And that's not to say that, you don't go through a lot of things, but I promise your mind makes it way worse than it really is most of the time. So let's really talk to ourselves, coach ourselves, have that love, have that hard talk with yourself. Hey, get it together. You can do this. You got this. You come this far. You didn't come this far to quit. You didn't come this far to give up. You didn't come this far to let these small thoughts run you away from your dreams. What if your dreams are right there? Like you're right at the door and you're about to open it. But then you had this small little thought in comparison to what's behind that door. You will never forgive yourself for that. So let's not do that. We worked too hard. We've come so far. We've come through all of this with the pandemic so much. And I'm not going to go into all that. But, it's just we have so much to count our blessings, for and with. And it's just we have so much going on. So many good things going for ourselves. Just the fact that we get to live each day and wake up in a healthy body, have a healthy mind, have a mindset that works, and that you have what it takes to succeed. You know how to succeed. It's just you get exhausted sometimes. You get tired. You just get a little down, and that's okay. And maybe you get really down, and that's okay too. But don't forget to get back up. Take a little rest, take a little break, but get back up and stay up, and keep climbing. And just toss that pebble. It's not a mountain, it's a pebble. And keep that in mind. So please be sure to visit wesoflymorningshow.com and check out the self-care page. Definitely check out the self-care page and look over those positive affirmations. I highly recommend that, especially if you're having anxiety. It can help you through affirming yourself, reaffirming yourself when you have those doubts, and tossing those things aside. And also, please be sure to look at the shop page. We have merchandise for the show. We also have a book, Manifesting Positivity, discussion of mental health for these types of purposes here that I discussed now. So yeah, I hope that you all feel a little bit more secure about how your mind works, and understand that this is just something that everyone is experiencing. You are not alone in this. You matter no matter what. We care if no one else doesn't. And please, by all means, reach out to us if you need someone to talk to. We also have the contact page where there's plenty of hotlines that can tend to your needs. If you ever feel in danger, or if you don't know what's going on with you and you just need some professional advice, by all means, check out that contact page and call a number, or reach out to us. Everything is confidential, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. But with that being said, I hope you all have a safe, blessed day, night, wherever you are. Please be sure to just take good care of yourself and take it one day at a time, and rest easy, and know that you are loved and you are appreciated, and you will do great things in this world. You just have to take it step by step and love yourself. Self-love is and always will be the best love. All right, I'll see you next time. Bye.
Always stay fly. I gotta stay fly. When you see me in the club, when you see